Several new developments in South suburban Dolton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial reports.
You could feel the anger tonight at a Board of Trustees meeting in Thornton Township. The board and citizens looking for accountability to their finances, while the township supervisor...
Let's talk about Tiffany Henyard, a name that's been making waves lately for all the wrong reasons. You've probably heard about her by now. The so-called super mayor of Dolton, Illinois, is in Thornton Township. She's been the center of multiple scandals, and now things have reached a boiling point. It seems like Henyard's days of partying with taxpayer money and living large might be coming to an abrupt end. Brace yourselves, because this is a story that just keeps getting wilder and wilder.
Is there a motion to terminate Keith Freeman?
Can you believe she was caught trying to bribe a federal agent? Yes, you heard that right. Tiffany Henyard allegedly thought it was a good idea to bribe an FBI agent. And let's just say it didn't go well for her. This is the same woman who's been under investigation for a whole laundry list of reasons, but now she's gone and outdone herself. Trying to buy off a federal agent, that's like something out of a bad movie. It's one thing to be caught in corruption, but this is next level.
I think you should pay everybody. Is it the reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's for. You just got it.
So, here's what's going down. Rumors have been swirling about Henyard's arrest, and it looks like those rumors are finally starting to stick. It seems she's been under the FBI's radar for a while now, thanks to her alleged misuse of taxpayer funds. But the icing on the cake, when the feds came knocking, she tried to slip some cash to one of their agents to make it all go away. This woman must be living in a fantasy world, because not only did that not work, but now it's put her in even deeper trouble, as if she wasn't already knee-deep in scandals. The bribery attempt has opened Pandora's box for Henyard. The FBI is now digging through all of her transactions over the past year, and let us tell you what they found so far isn't pretty. We're talking about some serious money here, folks. Word on the street is that she might have been taking kickbacks, skimming from village funds, or just flat out stealing taxpayer money for her personal use. Henyard has been throwing extravagant parties, living the high life, and making ridiculous purchases with the town's money. And now it's all coming back to haunt her.
The legal appointment, that's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
Remember that $85,000 party she threw not too long ago? The one where she flew in performers like Keith Wyatt and Jay Holiday? Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. This party, which was supposed to be some grand celebration for the community, turned out to be a huge flop. Barely anyone showed up, but that didn't stop Henyard from spending tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars on it. Keith Wyatt was paid $30,000 to sing for just 30 minutes, and Jay Holiday, he got $20,000 for half an hour. Oh, and let's not forget the $6,600 Henyard dropped on inflatable bounce houses for a sparsely attended event. If that doesn't scream wasteful spending, we don't know what does. It's been reported that the FBI is now looking into every single penny Henyard has spent. They're going through her transactions with a fine-tooth comb, trying to figure out if she was pocketing money on the side or using her position to enrich herself. And let's be honest, it sure looks like she was. From all the lavish trips she's been taking, to first-class flights and expensive dinners, Henyard has been living like she's royalty. She's been blowing through taxpayer money as if it were her own personal fortune. The FBI has even subpoenaed financial records from Thornton Township and Dolton to see where all this money went. And what they're finding isn't exactly surprising. The lavish spending doesn't stop at her trips. Henyard reportedly made massive purchases for luxury vehicles that cost Dolton taxpayers more than $334,000 in leasing fees alone. And that's not all. She's also racked up an unbelievable amount of charges at big-name retailers like Amazon and Target, with one-day spending spree on Amazon alone amounting to a staggering $33,000. Seriously, what could she possibly be buying that's worth that much in a single day? No one knows, but one thing's for sure, those expenses certainly weren't going towards improving the lives of Dolton residents.
So that's one of the reasons I vote no when we go through our board packets. It's like, some of this stuff, it's like you don't know exactly what it's for, and then when you ask a question, there's no answer.
And don't forget about the insane amount of money she spent on personal protection. It's been revealed that Henyard has been using a police security detail that's costing Dolton residents tens of thousands of dollars in overtime for officers. Some of these officers are making more in overtime than they do in their regular salaries, all because they're being tasked with driving Henyard around and keeping her safe, even when she's attending events that have nothing to do with her job as mayor. Critics have slammed this as another example of Henyard using public resources for her own personal benefit, while the community suffers from underfunded services and a mounting financial crisis.
For a year now, we've been reporting on questionable spending by a South suburban politician named Tiffany Henyard, but we only knew half the story.
And it's not just the FBI who's had enough of Henyard's antics. Even local officials and residents have been pushing back against her. The Dolton Board of Trustees, for one, has been working overtime to put a stop to Henyard's reckless spending. They've tried to limit her access to the village's credit cards, but that didn't seem to slow her down one bit. In fact, she's continued to blow through town funds with little regard for the consequences. It's as if she thought she was untouchable. that no one could stop her. Well, that delusion is crumbling fast.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
What's even more shocking is how deep this corruption might go. Henyard hasn't been working alone after all. She's had a whole entourage of shady characters backing her up, from her top aides to the people she's appointed to high-ranking positions in Dolton and Thornton Township. One of her closest allies, Deputy Police Chief Louis Lacey, was just indicted on federal bankruptcy fraud charges. Lacey has been Henyard's go-to-guy for years, and now it looks like he's in just as much trouble as she is. The charges against him are serious, and there's speculation that the feds might use Lacey to get to Henyard. After all, it's not uncommon for federal investigations to use one person's charges to leverage cooperation against a bigger target. In this case, that target is Henyard.
Sometimes we get invoices, but those invoices lead to more questions, and sometimes we don't get answers to those questions. And so it's not about clickbait, it's about just making sure the right thing is.
Let's take a minute to really think about what this means for Henyard legally. She's already under fire for her misuse of funds, but now that bribery is on the table, things are looking even worse for her. Bribing a federal agent, that's a huge deal. If convicted, she could be facing years behind bars. Experts say that federal bribery charges alone could land her in prison for up to 15 years. And that's not even counting any of the other charges she might be facing. Fraud, embezzlement, misuse of public funds, the list goes on. And if the FBI finds evidence that she was taking kickbacks or making shady deals with contractors, her prison sentence could be even longer. We're talking decades here, not just a slap on the wrist.
Deep debt, and that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
And then there's the public fallout. The residents of Dolton and Thornton Township are fed up with Henyard. People have been calling for her resignation for months now, and every new scandal just adds fuel to the fire. Some residents have even gone as far as to say they won't rest until she's behind bars. One person at a recent town hall meeting said, "I'm not going to stop until she's behind bars," and others echoed that sentiment. It's clear that Henyard's once loyal supporters are jumping ship as more and more dirt comes to light.
We needed those officers to be on the street fighting crime, and instead we have several officers that are riding around protecting the mayor.
Henyard, of course, has tried to brush all of this off. In her mind, she's still the super mayor, the people's mayor, the one who's supposedly working for the good of her community. She's even gone on record saying that all of these accusations are just part of a smear campaign against her. But come on, how long can she keep playing the victim when the evidence is stacking up against her? It's hard to believe that someone who's under federal investigation, who's been accused of bribery, and who's blown through taxpayer money like it's monopoly cash can still claim that she's being unfairly targeted.
Terminate his employment. I don't believe that is legally correct. That's just not the way municipalities operate, right?
And yet, despite everything, Henyard has continued to cling to power. She's refused to step down, even as her allies have been indicted and her finances have been scrutinized. She's vetoed multiple attempts by the Dolton Board of Trustees to open formal investigations into her spending, and she's been using every trick in the book to keep herself in office. Recently, she even tried to appoint a new police chief after the previous one was fired for misconduct, but that didn't go over well with the board. They shot her down, claiming the appointment was illegal. It's clear that Henyard is trying to maintain control, even as her grip on power slips through her fingers. So what's next for Tiffany Henyard? Well, the way things are going, it doesn't look good. The FBI is circling, her community is in revolt, and even her own allies are turning against her. She's in deep trouble, and it's only a matter of time before she has to face the consequences of her actions. If she's convicted on all of the charges that are piling up, she could be looking at a very long time in prison. And if her bribery attempt is any indication, she's willing to go to desperate lengths to avoid that fate.
Township residents are paying for her fund.
But the question remains, how much longer can Henyard hold out? Will she continue to fight tooth and nail to stay in power, or will the weight of all these scandals finally bring her down? And more importantly, how did someone who once seemed to have it all a rising political career, the support of her community, fall so far so fast? It's a stunning downfall, and it's one that will continue to play out in the public eye for months to come. At this point, the only thing left to ask is, what's next? Could more shocking revelations about Henyard come to light? And how will this all end for her? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for the next chapter in this never-ending drama. Because if there's one thing we've learned about Tiffany Henyard, it's that the story is far from over.